What's up, you guys? Welcome back to WideBody Nation. After protecting over 3,000 vehicles, I wanted to just update you guys on how I and we, meaning Destroyer 1320 and I, see the theft deterrent scene and some of the good things and some of the bad things we're seeing, as well as many of the frequently asked questions we get with our theft deterrent system, which obviously is the piece that blocks the neutral strap from being pulled by a unsuspecting thief. So with that being said, I'm going to be going over pretty much every category of theft prevention that you guys should be considering, because yes, it is not just one or two things. It is how I see it as categories. There's 6 to 7 categories of things, and you should really be choosing at least one from each category in order to have a well-rounded theft prevention solution. Because let's face it, you know, if you just have one AirTag or one GPS tracker or just wheel locks and tint, you know, these cars are vulnerable, and you are vulnerable in many different ways. And so that's what I'm saying is there are many different ways you need to consider protecting your vehicle, even if it is not a Mopar, a Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. So with that being said, obviously this video is sponsored by Destroyer1320.com. I have one of our older pre-production prototypes here, but it still has the label on it for which way it goes towards the front of your vehicle. So this one is unpainted, but obviously Destroyer1320.com provides you with painted versions that are, corrosion resistant and cut to the size of your vehicle. So if you have a Grand Cherokee, Durango, Charger, Challenger, 300C, Ram 1500, Ram Rebel, Ram TRX, we're expanding. Jeep is next, and let me tell you, that install is a little bit trickier. So if you have a Jeep, stay on the lookout. Jeep Wrangler, that is. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our first category. I'll hit the neutral strap at the end because you guys probably already know about that if you're watching my channel. So the first item I would say you guys need to consider is on a large scale, on a macro behavioral scale. So you need to think about where you live, whether that is inner city, whether that is, just in the city in general, whether that's suburbia, or whether that's like in the middle of nowhere in Texas or in Arkansas or in Washington State. You need to think about where you live, because then that will go logically to the next step of, okay, where are you parking your car? Both where are you parking your car more or less at home, aka where you're sleeping at night, and then also where are you parking your car when you go out on, when you go to work or when you frequent areas, right? So obviously I'm sitting in the Charger right now. I am at the house and I have the car in a place where thieves cannot see it pretty much anywhere from the road at all. You would have to have a drone, even though my car is not currently in the garage, because the Subaru is under the knife right now. I'm doing a little bit of work on it right there. Even though my car is not currently in the garage, it is concealed in a way that, out of sight, out of mind. So I encourage you guys, if you have the option to put your vehicle in a garage, obviously that is probably the best scenario. But let's say you have a carport, or you're just able to park your car in such a way, maybe even you just park your car and maybe you have a Subaru or a RAV4 or something that would prevent the car from being pulled out without hitting anything. Parking your vehicle with cars in front of it so it physically cannot leave your driveway is something you should be highly considering. Also, kind of on the behavioral note, that the patterns of life, maybe it's just me, but a lot of you guys probably are going to be in the comments all crazy, but I change up the way I drive around town, especially if I'm in this car. I do not take the same route every day. I take different routes home. I mean, I live in the middle of Tennessee, where you can drive many different ways. So even when I'm in my neighborhood, sometimes I take a right out of my driveway, sometimes I take a left, sometimes I take I go straight in my neighborhood and then loop around. It's something where if someone was following me home or someone was trying to observe my patterns of life, they would have a little bit harder of a time doing that. And I might notice that someone is following me or trying to observe me based off of their reaction. Because why would someone follow me different ways home other than if they're following me home, right? If I noticed that there was a black Crown Victoria following me home, no matter which way I took, then I know it's probably not my neighbor. Then I know it's probably someone who is profiling me to do some sort of harm to my property or to myself or to my family, right? So I know you guys are gonna be in the comments probably, oh, that's so stupid, it's blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to give you guys more practical ways that really cost you no money to increase your safety. And that's honestly, that's not just Chargers, Challengers, Mopars, SRTs, RTs, all that. That's just kind of like a smarter way of living life. I mean, I learned that from being in the Army, and that's a great way to get blown up if you are in a heavily I'm gonna stop using trigger words for YouTube, but if there's a lot of explosives in your vicinity and there's people who want to do you harm, a great way to get yourself injured or potentially killed is by doing the same thing over and over again. I'm sure police officers will agree with me. I'm sure Border Patrol will agree with me that doing the same thing over and over again, it makes yourself predictable. There's really no upside to doing the same thing over and over again. So let's just cut it right there. I recommend that you guys take alternate routes on the way home and on the way to other places that you frequent often. Good enough? Take it or leave it. All right, let's start talking about some of the other easy things. Obviously, tint is something that is aesthetic, but it's something that also, prevents a relative amount of prying eyes. As you guys can see on the Subaru over there, I have that tinted as well. And while you can see in it, it is relatively difficult to actually see what is going on in there. You guys can't tell if there's someone in there or not from here, and you'd basically have to get right up to it to get to figure out what's going on in there. If there's a person, if there's a dog, if there's if there's electronics, if there's some sort of steering wheel lock or something like that. So the Subaru here, I'm not going to tell you exactly what tint that is. You guys can probably guess. It's not 5%, but it's probably also not super light either. But the Subaru has the same tint as the car that I'm in right now, which is the Charger. So with that being said, no, you don't have to get 5% tint, but I would recommend, I prefer to stay in the 20 to 35% range because it doesn't make driving at night impossible, but it does give you enough privacy and sun protection because I'm whiter than a sheet of printer paper. It's just all around good. And that's pretty much where I'll leave it. Tint can cost you anywhere from a couple hundred to, up to about $1,000, depending on how much you get tinted, windshield, rear windshield, what brand you use, and et cetera, et cetera. So with that being said, let's get into the tracking scene. Now, with tracking, there are many different ways to go about it. I will give you guys everything I have, and then I'll also expound upon other ways or other methods I have used in the past or that I know of, which are many. Let's start with the easiest thing, an AirTag. An AirTag is about $25, and if you have an iPhone, that's about as easy as it can get. The good thing about, a lot of people say, oh, well, AirTags are dumb because it lets the thief know. Usually, unless you mess with the settings and you're smart like that, it'll let the thief know that the AirTag is in here. The reason I think that it's a good thing to let the thief know that the AirTag is in here because it gives them something that they're looking for already. It's a breadcrumb for them that they're trying to find, but maybe there's something else in the car. Right now, I have my car lock and my Mopar EVTS out for you guys so you guys can just kind of see what the hardware looks like. This is the car lock right here, and then the Mopar EVTS unit is actually this larger unit right here. I took it out because I'm actually gonna be threading this professionally to a very unsuspecting location. So let's finish up on AirTags and I'll move to car lock, then I'll move to Mopar EVTS, which is Mopar Electronic Vehicle Tracking System. And then I will explain some other methods, low jack, Uconnect, other things like that are available to you, and you can make your own, your own decisions, right? So AirTags, I recommend you have 2. And if you can, have one that has the discrete settings that do not let other people know that the AirTag is there, and have one that has the settings normal so that it shows that there's an AirTag in the car. Because like I said, it will make that thief even if they do successfully get your car moving, whether that's by pulling the neutral strap or by reprogramming a key or by doing something else, or if they even steal your key, whatever it may be, that thief will just think there's one AirTag and they'll look for it. And maybe if they find it, they'll think there's no more AirTags. Also, with your AirTag, do not name the AirTag 2022 Dodge Charger SRT Jailbreak like that. Obviously, my AirTag is not named that. I just named my AirTag an emoji because who knows what that is. And it's not a car emoji either. So, you know, who's to say what certain emojis are on your little Find My iPhone app, right? If they had my phone, or if they hacked in somehow, or if the AirTag was popping up on their phone and it just had an eggplant emoji, then how do they know that that's tied to the car? Now, would it be following them around? Yes, but it doesn't just give it away immediately, right? And as you guys can see, you might be in the comments, oh, AirTag this, $25 AirTag protecting a $96,000 car. That's so dumb. Again, it's a system. It's not a standalone product. We're talking about standalone products so you guys can make decisions on how you're going to protect your car. But I'm not recommending just choosing one. I am saying you should be choosing at least one from each category that we were talking about. So, with that being said, let's move on to car lock. I think you guys understand AirTags enough. Car lock is a pretty easy plug-and-play solution. I have mine daisy-chained right now, but car lock plugs into the OBD2 port of your car. So if you just want to send it right up into the OBD2 port, you can do so. I have relatively big feet. I'm a tall person. I'm 6'4". My shoes are about 12. When I wear boots, they're even larger. So my foot hits the car lock device because the OBD2 port is very close to where my boots sit when I'm driving this car. So car lock includes this extender, which means you can put the car lock device up behind your dash or around the steering wheel or kind of wherever you want, or under the seat, I guess, wherever you really want, which is good. The quality seems pretty good, honestly, of this little extender. I like how it's a flat cord. That's actually pretty nice as far as like threading it through stuff. It's not really super round or nothing like that. And car lock is pretty useful. It has a hub battery in it, so it will still track your location even if it loses power and is unplugged or something like that. Car lock also gives your phone a really, really, really annoying notification that I don't think you can silence if a thief unplugs it, because that's obviously the most vulnerable thing about car lock, but that's why I like it. Some people want to like relocate their OBD2 ports. Some people want to do this, that with OBD2 and all that, or they just say car lock is whatever. I like car lock because it's basically it's another breadcrumb that's like, oh, a thief sees that, they don't want to be tracked, they pull it off, but that lets me know if the shock sensors for the windows or nothing else has gone off, alarm, nothing like that, that car lock getting unplugged and probably chucked out the window lets me know my car is being stolen. And so then that is where my more advanced trackers come into play. Before I talk about all your advanced tracker options, Uconnect is not something to be relied on, folks. I have made videos about this before. I made videos back when my cars have been stolen in the past that are Dodges. Uconnect is garbage. They will shut your app down as soon as you report your car stolen, so then you have no idea where your car is. You have no chance of doing anything, really. Not that you should go repossess your car, but it would be nice to actually have the app still, right? And they did not find my car. My 2021 Redeye was stolen, and it was gone for 18 months, and then it was finally recovered because the thieves just ditched the car, and the police found it in a parking lot. So Uconnect could not find the car to save their lives, even though my car had it was driven over 30,000 miles in 18 months. Uconnect didn't find it, police didn't find it. So do not rely on Uconnect. Do not rely on Uconnect. And Dodge, if you're watching this video, it's your fault. Change my mind. That is where a solution like Mopar EBTS comes in. And Mopar EBTS is obviously a much larger system here. And you can either plug that in via OBD2 or you can hardwire it. And that has a much larger system, a much better GPS, and it is more expensive. and it provides you snail trail. So on the app, it shows you exactly where your car has been. Every single trip your car takes, it's like bing, 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 a snail trail, right? Like the old Garmin GPSs used to lay down that blue line. They provide us, it's called a snail trail. And so my Mopar EVTS 2 cars ago is what helped me recover my 2018 Dodge Charger Daytona when it was stolen after a Turo rental. And so the Nashville police were able to get that car back in less than an hour because I just went to the police station. I told them where the car was, where it was driving to. The police were able to locate the car in about 5 or 10 minutes. And then the people got spooked. They ran. As soon as they ditched the cops, they ditched the car, and then they recovered the car a few short moments later. So I do recommend Mopar EVTS if you are looking for a system that is decent and that doesn't require a ton of installation, because you can route it to the OBD2 port, and they will also call you. I've been getting calls a couple days this week because I unplugged it to do some modifications earlier this week, and I'm also going to be routing it professionally, and I've been getting called every single morning when I go to work. Hey, your device is still unplugged. Or is everything okay? And I have to tell them, yes, it's okay. I'm sorry. I brought it to the dealership. I did this, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay. And then they just make sure it's really me with some confirmation questions, and they let me go on my way. So Mopar EVTS. All of the things I have talked about so far in this entire video are things that I use currently and have used in the past, and would, in a non-legally binding way, I would recommend them, right? Like, I'm not saying any of these are going to solve it. I'm not saying they're going to keep you 100% safe. I'm not saying they're going to keep your car like immune to all the crap that's going on, but I do think these products are decent products, especially when used in conjunction with each other. Now, there's a couple other ways you can track your car. Now, if we're talking non-Mopars, like Chevy has OnStar, or you know, other cars have other tracking system. Like OnStar, I've heard and as I've seen has been much better, much more reliable than Uconnect. But that is all surface level protection. That's just connected to the car. There's things thieves can do to deactivate Uconnect, to deactivate OnStar, so I would be careful and not just rely on that. CompuStar is a pretty reputable alarm system that I see a lot of theft, alarm shops, stereo shops install for their customers, along with a few other things. So CompuStar, I don't know the exact models. CompuStar, Viper, LoJack. I'm sure there's some other good options out there, but there are aftermarket alarm systems. A lot of them are around $1,000 plus or minus, so they're not cheap. But they're not just an AirTag, or they're not even CarLock is pretty cheap. So be prepared. There's a little bit of a price tag there, but I mean, depending on what you guys are choosing, you gotta get something. I'm telling you. Now, because we're talking alarms, and because we're talking that genre right now, that category, there's a couple things I'm going to bring up now, which I'll turn the phone around and we'll get this bad Larry turned on. This car makes lots of noises. So, we're going to talk about the valet mode and the security update Dodge did. Now, I don't know if this car actually has the security update, even though it is a 2022, because let's see. So because the biggest problem that I have seen as of recently is people programming keys, and there's a star connector port behind your glove box. They pull the glove box down, like rip it off, and there's a bunch of plugs. I believe they're called star connectors, and they plug their key programming tool just directly into there, and then they do the beep boop bop boops, and they got a key in about 60 seconds, give or take, depends on what kind of car you have. But shutting that off. Drive modes. Valet mode, and so you can see the valet mode in this car, how the software is currently. Valet mode will limit the performance of your vehicle and requires a custom PIN code for activation and deactivation. So obviously, yes. And so with valet mode, you got to remember that every time you put valet mode on, it's a custom pin. So just because I just use 0420 doesn't mean next time that's the code. Now, you guys can see all these items. Reduced engine power, launch control disabled, street transmission, paddle shifters off, street traction. And it does limit it a lot. I mean, you can drive down the road, but it feels like you're driving, I don't know. It feels like you're driving, like it's definitely slower than my wife's RAV4 is just in general. And so it feels really slow, guys. I mean, you can drive around it, like it's fast enough to drive relatively safely around the neighborhood, but it is not fast enough by any means to, I don't even know if you could get on the highway. I haven't tried it on the highway because I'm worried it would do something to the car. But valet mode, that is an easy about 10 seconds every time you park your car. That's just another pain in the butt for thieves. And on the off chance that Dodge actually did their job properly, which is a very low chance, that may deactivate the star connector. Now, let's get into the next level of options, which is really kind of high tier. If you really want your car to be protected, you'll do basically all the things I've talked about. And there's a company called IGLA or IGLA, and they have a PIN code system. And what that PIN code system does is it doesn't even allow you to drive it basically bricks the car unless you put in the right PIN code here on the steering wheel. Now, not only does it do that, which is great, but it locks out key programming, which is humongous. Now, obviously, if you lose all your keys and you need new keys, that's going to probably cost you another trip to whoever installed the IGLA or IGLA PIN code system, because they're going to have to unlock that for you. And I don't really know how that is done, but I do know a lot of people do the IGLA PIN code system because obviously there is a huge benefit to having to get in the car, press a bunch of buttons on here, unlock it here. You have your alarm systems, you have your neutral strap covered right there. I mean, you guys can see where we're making these cars hard. And a lot of these things, the thieves are expecting not to be there. So as soon as they're hitting that and that and that, and they can't go in there, and there's trackers everywhere, and it's tinted. And then, hey, well, let's talk about wheel locks. Most Hellcats you can get with these kind of like shamrock wheel lugs. And yeah, I know I'm showing it to you guys, but that's because I am not using these anymore. I'm using different ones. One, because I think these are okay, but also I don't like the chrome on black wheels. So that's why I'm showing you these ones. There's plenty of wheel lock options, anything from spline drive to like pointy lugs to really shallow ones to, you can even get different, like say you could get two different types of wheel locks and run, wheel locks that are like, there's 3 lugs of this type and 2 lugs of that type as far as different, size bolts and everything like that. So you can get pretty gnarly with the wheel locks. So obviously, like this one has this key to it. So you need a key. You don't want to lose your key. These are all obvious things. And yeah, folks, I mean, that is about coming to the close of it. Obviously, I just showed you guys the neutral strap plate that we offer at destroyer1320.com. If you guys want a discount, you can go ahead and use my code WBN for 20% off. That is about the best discount code you're going to get. We have protected over 3,000 cars in the past about year and a half, and it is quickly climbing. And like I said early in the video, we offer it for almost any desirable Mopar now, and we are working on Jeep Wranglers. So, we're not just Charger and Challenger guys. We are trying to help protect TRXs. We are trying to help protect Grand Cherokees and Durangos and all that. So, overall, guys, you got to pick multiple of these, theft deterrent systems. And that's why we call ours a theft deterrent system. It's part of a holistic solution. It is not a one-stop shop, a one-size-fits-all. In Detroit, maybe they steal them one way. In Atlanta, maybe they steal them another way. In Chicago, maybe they steal them a different way. In LA, they might steal them a different way. And everything in between, right? But we are trying to do our part. We currently specialize in these neutral strap covers. because that is just kind of our area of expertise, and it is our personal point of, you know, friction and learning, because I have had both my Mopars have been stolen so far, and it was because of that reason. So, you know, why not protect the Mopars out there? So if you guys have any other ways you protect your vehicles, go ahead and put them in the comments below. There's always more ways to protect your vehicle. You know, there's other obvious things that are unique, that are not unique to Mopars, you know, not leaving valuables in your car, etc., etc. And just doing little tricky things just to make it that much more annoying for a thief. Because my philosophy is that most thieves are, I'm not going to call them dumb. I would say most thieves are looking for easy targets. They're looking for targets of opportunity. If you had on the, like, if you could say on the side of your car and you had a laundry list of theft deterrent things on it, and they believed it, I think that they would not go for your car. It's kind of like the thing where, like, if people have Ring doorbell cameras that have an LED light on them, and they have security cameras, and they have a fence, and they have dogs, and all their windows have shades, and they have lights on their property, blah, 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 blah. And they have they have a security sign out front that says monitor 24/7, 365 by whatever company. Is a thief going to go there, or are they going to go to like some dimly lit house that, you know, hasn't had anybody at it for 2 weeks because they're probably on a cruise and the mail is spilling out of the mailbox, right? So if you guys got any questions, comments, concerns on theft prevention and theft deterrence, hit me up on Instagram at RealWideBodyNation, or obviously feel free to put it in the comments below. Other than that, I appreciate you guys for supporting the, you know, our mission at Destroyer1320.com to protect literally every Mopar from the plague of thefts that we are seeing. And, you know, just looking forward to a good rest of 2023 with y'all. Stay safe out there, and I will see you guys for the next video.